Hello and good evening. This is Doc Severson for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA trade of the day for Monday, the 5th of April. All right, once a week, we typically put a lot of focus on BTC versus the US dollar as we are trying to accumulate as much as possible at the lowest possible price to accumulate. So a couple of things that we're doing here is that we're looking for the price to maybe come back down into this area. And at this point, quite honestly, I think the best I'm going to be able to do is maybe acquire something around 50 grand. Now, there's a couple of ways that we can do this. One is obviously through cash secured puts. So we can sell something down in this area about 50,000 and see if we can get paid for that pullback. Otherwise, we can also look for just a limit order that we can set up down here around 48,000 maybe, just a little bit of an undercut in case we do hit that trend line. Now, this really does appear to be setting up as a larger time frame consolidation pattern, kind of an ascending triangle at this point. And we may, I'll look at the fractals in a minute, but this thing might just be about to really rip to the upside. So we may get one final shot to get on board before this thing starts to become, and I'll do air quotes here, expensive. First thing I want to do is to set up the expected move for the week. Again, this is nothing more than just understanding the statistical probability of if and when we're going to have movement and how much that might be. This is the option market basically saying in terms of them buying puts and calls and the way that puts and calls are being bid up at around at the money. So what I'm looking for is the at the money straddle price to approximate what's going to be an expected move or one standard deviation movement plus and minus the current price. And what I'm showing is about $8,800 for that expected move into the end of April. This is the last time we can use the 30 April option series. Then we're going to be moving out to May. All right, you can see last week's reading on that expected move going forward, and the price is still within that envelope. So we're going to raise this one up. 67,723 is the upper target. 67,723, and we'll just get close to that. And then the lower level of this expected move into the end of April is going to be 50,123. So we're just going to raise this up just a little bit here. And then we're going to set this forward today. And so that is the one standard deviation plus and minus one expected move with a probability of staying in this envelope into the end of February or into the end of April at 68.2%. All right, now we're going to take a look at the market fractals, and the daily chart is really charged up at this point. Similar to what we've seen in the past in terms of just big numbers here with a 9 period. And again, I don't know whether we need to expand this bet out again. At this point, we were running with a 9 period because it seemed to match the movement much, much better. It may be slowing down again. It may be appropriate to push it out to 13. We'll find out here in the next few days. But we do have a big energy peak right now at the daily chart. Looking at the weekly chart, this is also getting into fully charged up on the weekly chart. This consolidation has been going on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 9 weeks. About 8 weeks is really about what it's at. And we'll see if we break from here to the upside again, then we're going to know that that 9 period is still in force. Otherwise, if we end up just chopping around for another few weeks, then we're going to have to push this out to somewhere between 13 to 14. Okay, so again, based on this trend line that we have, the longer term trend line that I'm watching here represents value. And at this point, probably 50,000 is about as good as I'm going to do in terms of the options that I want to sell. So if we start to look at our options that we can potentially sell against this for a pullback, let's go to Ledger X here and start to look at these. So for 50,000, I'm not going to make that much if I sell 50,000, and even if I get somewhere near the asking price for this, and let's just say it's somewhere in the middle, like 1,000. So that's a $10 fill for a 50,000, or I should say $1,000 fill for 50,000 on a full contract. That is 2%. So 2%, I could probably do better than that. And I'm willing to spend a little bit more time. So if we take 50,000 for down here, and this is going to be somewhere like $3,000 fill for 50,000. So if we look at a $3,000 fill and divide that by 50,000, we're going to get something like 6%. So that is a little bit better. I don't mind standing in front of that one for a little bit longer. So I'm going to be selling this one. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to set this up, and I'm going to do one contract. And what I'm going to do is, instead of just being tricky about this and trying to set up a price, I'm going to actually fill this in at the offer, or $38.99. So $38.99 is my offer on this, with one contract. That'll bring in approximately $39, and that will shoot for a little bit more than a 6% return. So either way I look at this, I'm doing okay. So if somebody comes along and then just punches the button and hits the sell on this thing, then I will be out, because I'll be in line with a one contract retail. So I might get a fill at $38.99. Otherwise, if the price continues to go lower, then I might just get a fill at the midpoint. So I'm going to sell one at that price, $38.99. And I verified that this is the correct series and the correct strike price. So I'm going to go ahead and sell that, confirm that sell order. And that one is just going to sit out there and cook. So I can see that in my open orders that are out there. My asking price is $38.99. And I may get filled, I may not get filled. I don't know. So we'll just keep an eye on this one over the next week or so. Now, I still have a Coinbase order coming in here at 45,000. I'll probably keep that out there just for a while, just in case we get one of those crazy spikes to the downside. It's been a while since we've seen one, but you never know. With today's low volume, we could get one of those spikes overnight, and I'd be real happy to get a fill at 45 versus chasing this thing higher. To summarize here for Bitcoin versus the US dollar, everything's looking really good from a technical perspective. All the highs are printing higher highs, although this is a lower high so far, which is okay if we're consolidating at a larger time frame, which we are at the weekly chart. So everything is looking good here. So unless we start to see this thing printing lower highs and lower lows, and again, I'll be there at 48,000 to pick that up if that comes to that. But I would expect to see that we'd see a bounce at that 48,000 level. And then if it sets up a lower high at this point, then that is a weekly lower high. And that might be signaling that we might need to come all the way back down to 40,000 or 42,000 or so. But I'm not seeing that just yet. It looks good for a break to the upside, but what I'm really missing right now is volume. Until we get the volume, we're not going to make that break above 60,000. Now, over the last few days since this weekend, we've seen a really nice break on Ethereum, on middling volume, not necessarily great volume, but it's enough to keep it up here. And we've seen the price retesting that breakout level at 2,000 and hanging in there. Now, remember, our price target for this was about 2,800 based on a big cup with handle move. And so it's just getting started on that. Notice how the daily chart has gone into exhaustion. And so it's not surprising to see this consolidate with a nice high and tight flag. That looks really good. Weekly chart is still really good on this one. So this one is showing that it's ready to go. And as we talked about last week, we did get the break, and the break's not going to come all at once, right? It's not going to go all the way into exhaustion on the first weekly break. You're going to see this move like stair-stepping, like this. Stair-stepping, moves higher. That is quiet and trending price action. This is good stuff. All right, looking at the rest of the market across the board, we're seeing some coins taken off. Others not so much. Polkadot looks really good on this break above this horizontal consolidation pattern that it showed. So that looks good. Cardano, again, is just coiling up. Chainlink, nice move here, but it needs to follow up that break above 32 by continuing, and on better volume would really help. Ripple, surprisingly, is busting a move right now. So I'm really surprised to see this. It's kind of a big, ugly, inverted head with shoulders pattern so far, but the neckline is about 75 cents, and Ripple continues to surprise to the upside. A couple of the other ones that we're seeing here in the top 20 is a good move here by Stellar Lumens, above 45 cents. So that looks good. Binance Coin is ripping out of this consolidation pattern. Again, big energy here into exhaustion. Look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart says there's still enough. So this may be about halfway through its move so far, but I would wait for the high and tight flag up here to form. Some of the other ones that are moving well are EOS. EOS has gotten above 550. And the target for this is going to be about the measurement from the neckline down to the bottom of the head. So this is about a $2 move. So from 550 up to about 750. And then that should signal the next consolidation for this. We also have Tezos is finally starting to move and getting above its neckline at 550. A lot of these same patterns where we see this sort of rounded base pattern breaking out. VeChain, really nice high and tight breaking out today above 9.5 cents and actually breaking the 10-cent level for the first time in a long time, right? Long time since it's broken that. Decred continues to look really good with a break above 180 that we talked about last week. So this one is good to go for right now. And again, checking the weekly chart, there is enough energy to support the next breakout on this guy. So again, like we're seeing some pretty good moves from a lot of these. A lot of these coins are looking really good, and everything that we're looking at the top 20 has been technically pretty good. So they're just passing the baton from coin to coin. So the ones that you want to look for are the ones that are all set up and ready to move. Since Bitcoin has kind of taken the day off, we even have some of these that are starting to move on an altcoin basis versus BTC. So like Ocean, this one's setting up nicely. We have DOC versus BTC, which is broken out nicely. Hero is starting to finally wake up again. And some of the other ones that we've been following for a while, again, with Bitcoin being really strong, this has been a very poor trade to go against that reference currency, but Waves versus BTC has been good. And that is about it when it comes to the altcoins. If you guys are looking for easier trades, I would just stick to the top 20 in the coin market cap, right? That is going to be the easier trade right now because those are going to be the ones that get institutional support. Sometimes we almost look at altcoins like penny stocks, so like, well, these are really cheap. I can buy a whole pile of these, but if they don't move, it really doesn't help your case. That's it for today's report. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow.